And welcome everyone to our Bleacher Report AP Top 25 men's basketball poll reaction. Of course, you can also see all our coverage at ncaa.com, at March Madness Men's Basketball, and all our social media platforms. I'm Andy Katz. All right, let's break down this top 25. Then we're going to go to my Power 36, player team of the week, and games to watch. And of course, we will take your questions. Right off the bat, no problem with the top 4 to 7. Purdue, Houston, Kansas. You'll see my order is a little different here. UConn, Tennessee, Kentucky, Carolina. All good choices. I still think Arizona a little too high at 8. Yes, they rebounded with a home sweep this past weekend where they desperately had to have after that Stanford loss. Oklahoma, pretty good spot for them after opening the Big 12 with a win. Illinois proved that they are still pretty good without Terrence Shannon Jr., knocking off Northwestern by 30 and push Purdue. I have them in the teens, 10, whatever, fine. I think they're a little bit lower, but that's okay. Marquette, 11, Duke, 12. Memphis, I would put them higher, even though it took a Javon Quinterly three-pointer to beat SMU. That's okay. Baylor, a little too high. What have they proven so far? Not a lot. Got blown out by Michigan State, lost to Duke in New York, had to go almost a distance to beat Oklahoma State. Like Wisconsin, I think Wisconsin should be higher. Auburn should be higher. You'll see Colorado State, I think they should drop. Lost to Utah State. I don't know if the AP Top 25 didn't see that happened. BYU, lost to Cincinnati. Why are the Cougars still ranked? Again, are people paying attention that are voting? San Diego State, I like them back in. Utah State, great to see them. But Utah State just beat Colorado State. Clemson, I've always been high on Clemson. Their loss was Carolina, that's fine. Creighton, okay. Gonzaga, again, you beat a Pepperdine and a San Diego. It's not enough yet to be back in the top 25. Don't have a quality win in the non-conference. They're going to have that Kentucky game coming up that obviously will say a lot. And Florida Atlantic, oh my God, what is happening here? Florida Atlantic lost to Charlotte. The Arizona win that might feel like a year ago. Florida Atlantic should not be there. Texas, how is Texas ranked? Let me tell you something. We're going to have a bracket on Tuesday. I'm going to tease this. I don't know if Texas is going to be in the bracket. Texas lost to Texas Tech. Texas's resume is about as thin as this paper right now, okay? That's how Texas's resume is. So thin. No, Texas should not be ranked. I think Rodney Terry, great job overall, but this team needs to prove a lot more to be ranked. Where is Seton Hall? Let's go to my Power 36. Let's show a little comparison here. Whew. All right, we're going to recircle this after, but let's start with my Power 36. Okay, right off the bat, Purdue, Kansas, Houston. Those are 3 number 1 seeds you'll see on Tuesday in our bracket. Kentucky, Carolina, UConn. I think UConn will end up being the 4th number 1. Memphis, Duke, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Auburn, Wisconsin. I feel really good about that dozen. Go to 13 and down. Marquette, Illinois. So there you see, I've got Illinois in the teens. San Diego State, won a couple. Arizona, still hurting from the Stanford loss, so I got them in the mid-teens now. Wake Forest beat Miami. They've won, I think, 9 in a row. Great job by Steve Forbes. They're nowhere near the top 25 in the AP. South Carolina, 1 loss. Lamont Paris doing a great job. 1 loss. Ole Miss, 1 loss. It was at Tennessee. Seton Hall, they're the Pirates. Let's go to the Pirates for a minute. Beat UConn, prior to the new year. Beat Missouri. Beat in this last week at Providence. I know Bryce Hopkins went down. They still won the game. And then they beat Marquette at home. Northwestern, back in the top 25. Yes, they lost by 30 to Illinois, and they turned around and beat Michigan State. Also the Purdue win. Cincinnati knocked off BYU. And St. John's wins at Villanova. So I got a lot of new teams, 21 through 24. Where do we got 25 through 36? Hey, I'm not disrespecting San Diego State. Top 25 is. Oregon at 25. Oregon's won 4 Pac-12 in a row, swept the LA schools at home, then went up to the Washington schools and swept them. There's Clemson. There's Michigan State, which had 5 in a row, lose at Northwestern. There's Baylor, which they beat. Utah State, okay, they made the top 25. I'm okay with that. But I got Utah State, Colorado State, Nebraska, Ohio State, New Mexico. One loss was Colorado State in the conference. Then they rebounded and beat Wyoming. Only one loss other than that was at St. Mary's. There's Dayton. Best team in the A-10. They're playing like it. There's Gonzaga. Okay, so I've brought them back into the overall rankings, but they're not top 25 good right now. And there's Nevada. So I got 5 Mountain West schools. 5. And in the bracket on Tuesday, I may have 5 as well. All right. Let's go to my team and player of the week. I've teased this. Team of the week, Seton Hall. Shaheen Holloway, what a job he has done. As I mentioned, overall the last couple of weeks, you've got wins over UConn, Missouri, and then to earn this honor was at Providence and home Marquette. That's an NCAA tournament resume right now. Season ends today. I think Seton Hall would be in. Player of the week, familiar face. North Carolina's Armando Bacot. Double-double, rebounding in the teens, 2 road wins for Carolina, at Pitt, at Clemson. So when I'm debating the player of the week, and, was it Hunter Dickinson who had 30 against TCU? Kevin Miller from Wake had a great week, but 2 road wins. And the way Bacot rebounded, I think, was significant. All right, so before we get to our questions, let's look ahead to this week and the games to watch. It's interesting. There are not as many high-profile games this week in leagues that'll really start to pick up once football ends and television networks say, okay, now college football's over. The busy weekends of the wild card weekend ends the following week when you have divisional and then obviously the off week before the Super Bowl. Then we start to get the high-profile games even more so. Oklahoma at Kansas. Right off the bat, I don't think any of us predicted, that's a first-place matchup in the Big 12. Michigan State at Illinois takes on even more importance now for the Spartans after losing to Northwestern. Illinois coming off the tough loss at Purdue. San Diego State at New Mexico. Battle for really, I think, could end up being first in the Mountain West. We'll see Colorado State, Nevada, Utah State all could have something to do with it. But if New Mexico wants to win the league, they got to win this game at home. Carolina at NC State, both undefeated. I think NC State's on the outside looking in right now with a bracket, but 3-0 in the ACC, 3-0 Tar Heels. Interesting matchup in Raleigh. Wisconsin and Ohio State, I'll be at that game on Wednesday night. The Buckeyes had a lead, lost it against Indiana. Wisconsin, I think, is playing great. They're scoring over us. They're deeper. They're more athletic. It's going to be a great matchup Wednesday night in Columbus. UConn at Xavier. Now, Xavier's been kind of a funny team this year. Had some highs and lows. UConn has played really well on the road. Just won at Butler. And the Cintas Center is going to be rocking. BYU at Baylor. BYU coming off the loss at home to Cincinnati. This game is going to be way up and down. Way up and down. Really intriguing matchup for new Big 12 teams, as well as number 8 on my list, Houston at Iowa State. The Cougars open sort of a soft opening in the Big 12 with West Virginia at home because West Virginia has been struggling. Now they go to Hilton Coliseum, one of the best venues, obviously, in the country, let alone the Big 12. Real big test. Houston, the last remaining unbeaten. This is where they could fall. St. John's at Creighton. The Red Storm rising under Rick Pitino. But this is arguably one of the toughest places to play in the Big East, let alone the country. In Omaha, real good matchup. And then Indiana State at Drake. Now, Drake lost to Belmont on Sunday. Indiana State's the best team in the Valley. Southern Illinois, Belmont, Drake, they're now behind Indiana State. If Indiana State's going to win the Valley, and they may need to, obviously, to get an AQ, to get in, but I think they're a team that could win a couple games in the NCAA tournament. This is the kind of game that really will be a difference maker for the Sycamores if they're going to be that top seed in St. Louis for Arch Madness. All right. Let's go to some questions. Jay Jennings, how is Texas in the top 25? You are correct. I mean, I don't understand how the voters could put Texas in. As I said, thin resume, lost Tech. Get them out. Now, you're also adding here in your comments that Oklahoma's overrated. I disagree. We'll see what happens in Kansas. Ian Evans, what do I think that Dayton needs to do to be ranked? Ron Holmes is the truth. I have them in my rankings now. I think they're going to continue to move up. You know what it takes? People paying attention. Ryan Garvey, does Seton Hall deserve to be in after they've open league play? And the answer is yes. As you saw, I had them ranked. Where's Ohio State, Braden Ross? Well, they dropped out of my top 25, but still my 36 after they lost to Indiana. Topher Johnson, when will South Carolina get ranked? I don't know. They should be. Beat Mississippi State, one loss, Clemson. Yes, Yash Dash says, what does Wake Forest have to do to get ranked? I agree. I have them ranked. I'm not an AP top 25 poll voter. You want to have a groundswell of support to get me into that? Fine. I was a long time ago when I was in newspapers, but when I got to ESPN, Dick Vitale had our vote, and I just never got one. FAU in Texas still being ranked as a crime, Kyle Kolb says. It's a top 25 crime, not a legal crime, top 25 crime. Yeah, it's a joke. Come on. FAU lost to Charlotte. Schwenboy says Baylor's way too low. Do you mean too high or too low? Because they shouldn't be in where they are in the rankings. D-Matt Smash says Memphis looking like a 3-4 seed in the Big Dance. Yes, I think in February, when we have the top 16 reveal, Memphis will be on those top 4 lines. Willie Ringo says Tennessee should not be in the top 10. I disagree. They're playing now the way I think we all projected. Ben Saltzman, why is UNC over UConn in your Power 36? Is it the Klingon injury? Well, the reason is, yes, I know UConn beat Carolina on an intercourt Madison Square Garden, but since then, Carolina's had more impressive wins, home and road, than UConn. If UConn's healthy versus Carolina again, neutral, I take UConn. But remember, rankings, not seeding. Now, seeding, UConn will be a higher seed than Carolina. That is true. Because that's the whole body of work. Travis, how is Oregon not in the top 25? Again, I don't know. I had them number 25. Ooh, Kiach says Texas Tech disrespect is insane. Well, they were depleted, and yet they had a great win. So shout out to Grant McCaslin and that crew. W. Joins says, rank NC State, and I will if they beat Carolina. Caden Ford, KU has beaten 4, 5, and 6. How is Houston ahead of them? I don't know. They shouldn't be. It's that simple. I agree with you. But 2, 3, you can make that. These things are flying by on my right side about, does Bama have a chance? Yeah, I think Alabama's played a great schedule. I think they're going to be in the tournament. Well, the thing about Tennessee ahead of Kentucky, Tennessee ahead of Carolina, I agree with you. I have Carolina ahead of Tennessee. So I don't know. After Texas Tech beats BYU, allegedly, will they be ranked? Probably not still. Where's Wake? I agree. These are now flying by about ripping Tennessee. Grand Canyon shutout. I've had Grand Canyon in and out of 36. We've answered the FAU thing. That's a joke. I had Cincinnati in my Power 36, so in the top 25. So I agree with you on that. Duke not moving higher. Maybe it's just because they beat Notre Dame. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with the Tennessee-Carolina comparisons. I have Carolina higher than Tennessee. So thoughts on Wisconsin current ranking? Is it accurate? I have them a few spots higher. I think Auburn does have a chance to win the SEC. Someone asked, it was flying by, where's Arkansas? They are playing horribly right now, as Eric Musselman said after the game. So they're not ranked, and they're not in the tournament right now. I think I had a little more faith in them, clearly. I had them in my rankings last week, and I was basing a lot on how they played against Duke, and I didn't think they were that bad, even after. They weren't 100%, obviously. Still, now they're gone. Out. A lot of work to get back in. What's going on with Rutgers? B. Young asks. Well, the bus has hit a ditch with Rutgers. Defensively, they're not as good as they've been. Give up well over 70 points against Ohio State. They finally scored against Ohio State. Then the Iowa game got away from them. Look, they're going to be really good next year, you would anticipate, but I also think a lot of these guys better come back. If these guys come back with the recruiting class, then they should be a top 3-4 team in the Big Ten next season. Look, Bradshaw back for Kentucky was huge. Hit a block game-winning shot to beat Florida. It's great. Does San Diego State have another shot at the Final Four? Sure. Is Memphis legit? Yes. I think Wisconsin could be in the 2-3 line if they keep this up. I disagree with you on Texas Tech. Arkansas is going to have to be more than Tennessee to get back in. That's happening in February. Kansas, number 1. No, it's Purdue at this point. So I disagree with that. All right, let's take a couple more quick. Moneyman says, feels like Nevada needs more love. I got them in the rankings. Backside, I agree. We'll see what happens here in the Mountain West. Yeti Tumblr wants to know my thoughts on Illinois without Terrence Shannon Jr. I had them lower my power rankings of the Big Ten without him because we didn't know. They go out and they beat, FDU, whatever. Then they crush Northwestern. They play well against Purdue. Look, these guys are legit D1 players. Quincy Guerriere is, Marcus Domask has been consistent, which is great. Coleman Hawkins has played up to his potential. The big question that hasn't changed with or without Shannon is they don't really have a point guard. Ty Rogers really isn't a point guard. That's going to be a problem for them no matter what going forward. So how good are they? Could they be a Sweet 16 team? Sure. Are they going to win Big Ten? No. Are they going to finish 2 or 3 in the Big Ten? I think, yeah, sure. They easily could. And this week will be a good test for them against a really hungry, desperate Michigan State. Thoughts on Providence without Bryce Hopkins, asks Polish Man. It's an uphill battle for them. But, again, I thought they played well without him at Creighton. Great grit. So now they're, it's going to be a huge test for Providence. Jay Jennings, JMU fell insanely did, losing to Southern Miss. It's crazy. They may have to win their league to get in. We'll see. Only one loss, I think they get in. G. Jones, is Wake attorney team? They are right now. Could Syracuse make the tournament, All-Star 100? Yes, but they're showing it Duke didn't help. But they got work to do. And is Memphis legit, Dawson asks? They are. This is Fairway's best team, without question. All right, here we go. On Tuesday, noon Eastern, right here on Bleacher Report, we're going to have our next bracket after the national championship game Monday night between Washington and Michigan. First bracket that we've had in a month, looking at where we are here in early January. That's here on the Bleacher Report app, on March Madness Men's Basketball, at NCAA.com. You can follow me at the Andy Katz on Twitter X and at the Real Andy Katz on Instagram. As always, we're here every Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern time for the AP Top 25 poll reaction. I appreciate all your engagement. Sometimes it's a little nastier than others, but that's okay. I can take it. But I just love that we're having this interaction. And I also appreciate when I'm on the road, people come up to me, they're shouting out these rankings, they're saying all these things. As long as we do it civil, that's all good. I always take my time out to talk to everyone out there because we appreciate all this back and forth. So we love that you love men's college basketball and the women's side. Wow, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, and everything else. It's just been tremendous. Appreciate all of it. So we will talk again on Tuesday, noon Eastern, right here on this app for our bracket breakdown. Thanks for watching, everyone.